Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the annals of time, unraveling the mysteries of the past. Today, we find ourselves in the midst of one of the most pivotal and transformative periods in human history: the Black Death and medieval society. As we delve into this fascinating era, I invite you to join me on a path that winds through the shadows of forgotten centuries, where the whispers of the past await our attention. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the transformative era of the Black Death and medieval society. As the plague ravaged Europe, cities and towns became hotbeds of infection, with the disease spreading rapidly through the close quarters of urban populations. The city of Florence, for example, was particularly hard hit, with estimates suggesting that over 60% of its population perished. The streets, once filled with the sounds of merchants and artisans, were now empty and silent, littered with the bodies of the dead. The great cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore, still under construction at the time, stood as a testament to the city's former glory. But even its stone walls could not protect its inhabitants from the ravages of the plague. In response to the crisis, many cities and towns implemented drastic measures to contain the spread of the disease. In Venice, for example, the government established a system of quarantine, isolating infected individuals on remote islands in the lagoon. This approach, though often brutal and ineffective, marked one of the first attempts at public health policy in Europe. The city of Ragusa, in what is now modern-day Croatia, went even further, establishing a sophisticated system of quarantine that included the isolation of ships arriving from infected areas. As the plague spread, it also had a profound impact on the social and economic fabric of medieval society. With so many people dead, labor shortages became acute, leading to significant changes in the feudal system. Serfs and peasants who had previously been tied to the land were now able to demand higher wages and greater freedoms, paving the way for the emergence of a new class of landowners. The plague also accelerated the growth of a money-based economy, as trade and commerce continued to expand despite the devastation. One of the most significant consequences of the plague was the rise of a new class of entrepreneurs and merchants who saw opportunities for profit in the midst of disaster. Men like the Medici family in Florence, who would go on to become one of the most powerful banking dynasties in Europe, made their fortunes by providing loans and financial services to a society in crisis. The plague also spurred innovation in fields such as medicine, as doctors and scholars sought new ways to understand and treat the disease. As we explore this pivotal moment in history, we find ourselves surrounded by stories of human tragedy and resilience. From the heroic efforts of medical practitioners like Guy de Chauliac, who risked their lives to care for the sick, to the devastating accounts of families torn apart by the plague, we are reminded of the profound impact that this pandemic had on individual lives. The plague also inspired some of the most remarkable works of art and literature in human history, from the haunting frescoes of the Dance of Death to the powerful poetry of Petrarch. As we reach the height of the plague's devastation, we see a society in flux, struggling to come to terms with the unprecedented challenges it faces. And yet, even in the midst of such tragedy, there are glimmers of hope and transformation. The Black Death marked a turning point in human history, one that would ultimately pave the way for the emergence of a new Europe, characterized by greater social mobility, economic prosperity, and cultural achievement. The plague may have brought devastation and despair, but it also created opportunities for growth, innovation, and renewal. Join me next time on History with Herodotus, as we uncover the enduring impact of the Black Death on Western civilization. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we conclude our journey through the transformative era of the Black Death and medieval society. As the plague subsided, many cities and towns began to repopulate, with survivors returning to their homes and rebuilding their communities. The city of Florence, for example, which had lost over 60% of its population, saw a significant influx of new residents, including artisans, merchants, and laborers from surrounding areas. This migration of people helped to revitalize the city's economy, as trade and commerce began to flourish once again. The decline of the plague also led to significant changes in the feudal system, as the shortage of labor continued to drive social and economic change. With many lords and nobles having perished during the pandemic, their estates and lands were left without heirs, leading to a significant redistribution of wealth and power. This created new opportunities for peasants and serfs to acquire land and rise through the social ranks, paving the way for the emergence of a new class of landowners. One of the most notable consequences of the plague was the growth of cities and towns as centers of commerce and industry. As trade and commerce expanded, cities like Bruges, Antwerp, and Venice became major hubs of economic activity, attracting merchants, artisans, and entrepreneurs from all over Europe. The plague also spurred innovation in fields such as medicine, as doctors and scholars continued to seek new ways to understand and treat diseases. The legacy of the Black Death can be seen in many aspects of Western civilization, from the art and literature of the time to the social and economic structures that emerged in its aftermath. The plague inspired some of the most remarkable works of art and literature in human history, from the haunting frescoes of the Dance of Death to the powerful poetry of Petrarch. It also led to significant advances in fields such as medicine, as doctors and scholars developed new treatments and therapies for diseases. As we reflect on the enduring impact of the Black Death on Western civilization, we are reminded of the profound ways in which this pandemic shaped the course of human history. The plague may have brought devastation and despair, but it also created opportunities for growth, innovation, and renewal. It marked a turning point in human history, one that would ultimately pave the way for the emergence of a new Europe, characterized by greater social mobility, economic prosperity, and cultural achievement. From athletes who use ice baths to boost their immune systems, to individuals who practice meditation and mindfulness to reduce stress, we can see that the human spirit remains capable of adapting and thriving in the most challenging circumstances. Just as the people of medieval Europe found ways to cope with the trauma of the plague, so too can we learn from their examples and find our own paths towards healing and recovery. In conclusion, the Black Death was a pivotal moment in human history, one that brought about profound changes in the social, economic, and cultural landscape of medieval Europe. As we remember the devastating impact of this pandemic, we also honor the resilience and determination of those who survived it, and whose legacy continues to shape our world today. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Black Death and medieval society. Until next time, goodbye. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.